So what happened at my Hermes appointment in Paris? Hey everyone, and welcome back to a brand new video. I'm so happy to be filming a little bit more these days. As you know, I've been behind. I'm trying to post more regularly, like with my regular schedule. I used to post weekly, and then for a while there I just got so over-consumed with work and then just fell really behind with editing. So I'm trying to get back on the game. So if you haven't already, do hit the subscribe button. I'd really appreciate that. And if you're already a subscriber and haven't hit the notification bell, please hit the notification bell, because then you'll be alerted whenever I post a new video and you won't miss out on that. Okay, I love filming discussion videos. I know a lot of my videos recently and upcoming videos will be unboxings because I have been behind in posting. But I'm going to try to balance it out with a lot of discussion videos because there's a lot of stuff that I want to discuss with you guys. So as you know, I was in Paris in November. We're now filming in March. Hopefully this goes up soon in a timely fashion. And I did post that I did land an appointment at the Hermes flagship boutique, which was really exciting. And as you already can probably see and know from my unboxing, that I did not come home with a bag. And that's okay, I'm not mad about it. But I wanted to share my experience with you guys because I'm sure there's a lot of people that are looking for this sort of information on the internet, and there is a bit of a skewed expectation, really weird expectations about this thing. So I wanted to just clear the air and provide any additional information so that everybody can sort of get a better sense of what to expect. I've made some notes on my phone because this happened like a good 5 months ago, so I needed to recall all the details so that I'm not missing anything. But the most important thing is that content on social media on the Hermes appointment system is somewhat biased. You guys have to think and understand this, okay? It's mostly these videos are posted by people who did score a handbag, okay? And they do really well on YouTube, okay? So a lot of the videos that are posted are by people who actually got a bag, and they're like, how did I get a bag in Paris? And I did this appointment and blah, 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 blah. And there are very, very, very few videos of people who did not score a bag. And that could be due to a number of reasons. You have to imagine there are thousands of appointments that are requested daily. I think currently there's like an estimate of 8,000 appointments requested daily. And only, realistically they can only fill a certain number of appointments, right? So I don't know what the percentage is, but it's very, very, very small as to how many appointments actually get scheduled. So of those 8,000 appointment requests, only a small subset actually get an appointment. And of that subset, there's also a small subset of people that actually score a handbag. And from that subset of people that get appointments, not everybody's on social media. You have to think about that, right? So whatever you're seeing on social media is a very, very, very tiny percentage of the people who actually made the appointment request and then actually got the appointment. So what you're seeing on social media is a very skewed perception. I think a lot of you guys are really intelligent and can see that, but sometimes we just need to set the context straight so that everybody understands. Not everyone is successful, and it's unlikely that people that are in the social media world will share their experience, their unsuccessful experience, maybe because of embarrassment or maybe because they're just not going to get the views. There could be a number of reasons why people won't share that. But when I did have the appointment and I was chatting with some of you who I was talking to while I was on the trip, you guys said this would be an amazing video, and I was really excited to share that experience, but I just didn't have the time to film it. I really wish I filmed it in Paris, but then I just didn't have time. I just wanted to do other things, and I wanted to just kind of sit down and collect my thoughts and then share with you guys. Now that travel is opening back up, I think it's a lot more relevant now because a lot more people are going to probably be traveling compared to when I did. So in November of last year, 2021, my husband and I were blessed with the chance to visit Paris again. We went for my birthday. My birthday was in November, and we were really excited to go. We've visited before, so this was our first trip outside of North America after the pandemic started. So our last trip was in Las Vegas in February of 2020, and then everything just went downhill after that. But our last trip in Paris was in 2019, and we've visited Paris every year prior to that. So we live in Canada, but we have flown to Paris every year, which was we're very lucky to have done that, and it was a great experience. I kind of wish I started YouTube years ago, because we've had some really nice trips, and I would have liked to film that and share that, and I think a lot of people would have appreciated that. I did vlog this trip, and I did post it, so if you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch it. They're long vlogs, and a lot of you have reached out and said that you really appreciate it, even though some of it was, I felt boring, but a lot of you really like that sort of detail that I included, because for whatever reason you might be in a situation where you're not able to travel. Maybe you have young children, or maybe you're caring for an ailing family member, maybe you have a very demanding job and you can't leave, and this was a way for you to escape and feel like you were actually there with me, and that was my goal. That's what I wanted to do, and I'm so happy that you guys enjoyed that. It was a bit of a nuisance to edit, but I'm glad I did it. I finally put it out there so you guys can watch that. So we visited every year. Anytime we visited, we stayed in central Paris, and we'll be there for like 2 or 3 days, and then from there we'll take a flight to another nearby city and explore that, or another city as well, and we'll go for like a week max. Okay, so I've had the opportunity to visit many times. Clearly we didn't fly to Paris just for MS, because we've flown there before, and I just love it there, and so does my husband, and it's one of our favorite places, so it was nice to just revisit after the pandemic. It was in due time. So the appointment system started for Hermes back, I think in 2018. I'm not sure if I'm correct on this, but it wasn't too long ago. There are probably videos that discuss this. It was a brand new appointment system, and you had to, prior to that, and I witnessed this, I saw people lining up outside of the boutiques. So there's 3 boutiques in all of Paris. There is one that is the flagship, which is on Rue Faubourg Saint-Honoré. That is the flagship boutique, which we call FSH. Then there is the one on Rue de Sèvres, which is another boutique, and that's a little bit farther away, but it's still, like, I mean, drive-wise, maybe about a 15-minute drive. It's on the other side of the sun. And then you have one that is closer to the Arc de Triomphe, which is called Georges V. That's on Georges V. So there are 3 boutiques. Georges V is a little bit smaller, but Rue de Sèvres was, I think it's pretty, like it's newly done. I'm not sure about the history, but it used to be like a pool or something. It is a very beautiful boutique. And then you have FSH, which is the flagship. In the past, I used to always see people lining up in the morning, and it was crazy. And I knew that people, what they were lining up for, like, it was like people would get there early morning, so that they can get in and get a handbag because they got their shipment, and then they will run out of handbags and then they wouldn't have anything to sell later on. I'm not saying that they wouldn't have anything later to sell, because I'm pretty sure they reserve stock for their A-list or like VIP clients, like celebrities that fly for that fly in, right? They're the ones that like meet Michael Coste or like influencers and all that. So I'm pretty sure they have stuff in the back, but the number of bags available to sell did get sold. It was very hectic with this lineup, so then they created this appointment system where you would, everybody has a chance to apply. So you basically go onto their website, and the day before you want the appointment, so it's only done the day before during their store hours. So their store hours are 10:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. You go in, you log in, you put your phone number in, your cell phone number, your passport number, your date of birth, your full name, and then you apply for an appointment. So it's 1 per person. That's how they control it. So you can't just go on and like put in like different phone numbers and apply for like 10 appointments. It has to be per passport. And then you get a confirmation email later on that day if your request was selected for an appointment, and then you get a time. So that kind of streamlined a lot of things. And then when people started to talk about this appointment system, they were like, if you get an appointment at FSH, you are pretty much guaranteed a handbag. Like if you get an appointment, you're guaranteed a handbag to get what you ask for. So I've always admired some of these Coda bags, like the Birkin and the Kelly. I did, but it was just something that I didn't feel was within my reach. Like it seemed unrealistic for me to get it because it's such a high ticket item, right? It's so expensive, and even if somebody offered it to me, I probably wouldn't have put down the money for it at that time. So it just kind of seemed like, okay, why try when I'm not going to buy it, sort of thing. Like I could admire it, but I wasn't like, I'm seriously gonna go get it. Like I wasn't serious about it. Otherwise I may have been one of those people lining up, right? So I I only started to apply for the appointments in 2019, last time we went, because I was like, let's apply for an appointment. My husband and I applied, and we were there for I think 3 days, and then we did like French Riviera. We went to like Monaco, Nice, Saint-Tropez for just a couple of days, not too long. We didn't get an appointment. I did visit Hermes in Cannes, and they did have bags for me to try on, not to sell, so it was nice to have that experience. They went through like all the colors with me, which was really nice. I guess they thought that I was going to buy something. But yeah, definitely not planning to buy anything, but it was a nice experience when we went in 2019. So, but we didn't get an appointment, okay? And my cell phone number, I don't know what's wrong with it, despite what carrier I have, for whatever reason, I do not get the short code text from Hermes. Like, I do not get any confirmation text, and you need that confirmation text to put like the validation code when you apply for the appointment for your application to be valid. So that was a bit of a struggle, but then luckily my husband has 2 phones, so I used his number for my application, and then he used his other number for his application. So never got it. Wasn't mad about it because I was like, you know, it's probably like not meant to be. This time around when we went, we were going for 5 days. So we landed there on Tuesday, and then we were there until the Saturday, flying out Sunday morning. So we had a good 5 days. We weren't going to any other city. And we applied. So I applied on Monday. When we were leaving for the next day, it was cutting it kind of close, because what if you get an appointment for 10 a.m. and then like you're trying to get to Paris after getting off a flight? But we did it anyway, weren't successful. We did it every day and weren't successful with both of our passports. Now, I do have some purchase history in Paris from years before. My husband and I do, but we usually buy under my profile for whatever reason, because I guess like I'm the admin when traveling, so I'm like, I keep track of all the tax refund stuff and like the receipts and everything, so he'll just let me do it, and then I just put my name down, even if it's something for him. And what we've bought has not been big ticket items. Like, we're not buying like fine jewelry and stuff like that, like maybe some small accessories here and there, costume jewelry, shoes, belts, like nothing big ticket, right? Like just a little something as like a souvenir because we were there. Other purchase history we have is in Las Vegas, because we have visited there a few times. Not so much in my home city, for a weird reason, and I guess because like when you're traveling you tend to shop, but when you're in your home city you don't tend to shop a lot. But the pandemic changed that because we couldn't go anywhere. So I have purchased a few things, and when I do purchase something, I purchase something that I really like. And that is not something that everybody else, like, you know, people go for like clickbait bracelets and stuff like that. And that, not that there's anything wrong with that, but like I only want to buy what I like, and I think that's the way to go. I mean, I'm not going to be trying to buy bait items, right, in order to be coming close to getting offered a handbag. I take my time and I buy what I like. As you know, I'm a Chanel fan, and I do love Chanel, and I have a number of items, a lot of items from Chanel, and I'm exploring other parts of the brand as well, and I just love it, right? So in the past, like it would seem ridiculous to me to spend that amount of money on an Hermes Birkin. Not that I wouldn't want to. I mean, if I was comfortable with doing that, obviously I would. But I think what changed over the past couple of years, and what made people want Hermes even more, myself included, and a lot of us, is, well, you know, Chanel has raised their prices a lot on handbags. So it's like, okay, well, if I'm buying Chanel handbags and I'm okay with spending that money on this handbag, then that means I'll be okay with spending that money on a Coda bag from Hermes, right? Because it didn't seem so like far away in price, right? Like, whereas before, like in 2019, literally a classic flap was like half the price of an Hermes Birkin. So that's a big jump, right? I'm not saying that it's easy. Like I've talked about this before, where people are like, oh, well, you know, if the prices are at Chanel are so high, I'm just gonna go over to Hermes. And I've said, you can't do that, because it's not, that's just not how it is. Like, you can't just walk over and be like, I have some money, please give me this. Like, you can't get what you want. And that's always been the case. It's been that historic, like, I mean, throughout, ever since the Hermes Birkin has become more well known by everybody else, and that's thanks to Sex and the City, with Samantha trying to get an Hermes Birkin and being like baffled by the concept of having a wait list, and she's like, it's just a bag, and they're like, it's a Birkin, right? So you know, it did kind of start from that. But there is actually even more demand, higher demand on social media for Hermes because of these price increases, and we'll revisit that later in this video. I've always loved big bags before. I always loved like that big, like, you can put everything in sort of bag. Yes, it's taken me a while to get to smaller bags, but inside I do love large handbags. And I've always envisioned having an Hermes Birkin, you know, using it as intended, of like throwing everything in and using it as a day bag. Obviously not to walk around with, but like going from like car to office, office to car, and that sort of deal. And that's how I would intend to use it, or use it as like a travel tote, really, right? And then you have bags for other occasions, right? Like, you know, for shopping, etc. This would be kind of like the workhorse bag. I don't see myself collecting Birkins. I know people do. I don't see myself doing that. I think just having like the one or two would be wonderful. Okay, I know people have like closets full of them. That's not what my aim is at all. But having like one, and then having one in a pop of color, that is something that I would love, but I'm not in a rush for. The quota bags are seen as a trophy bag, and I'll be totally honest with you, I see it as a trophy bag too, right? Because it's not something that is just handed to you. Regardless of Chanel prices increases or not, this is the case beforehand too. And I think people who say like, oh, you know, Hermes is, like, I've always loved Hermes, and, you know, you guys are just jumping on the bandwagon now. That's fine. But the thing is that it's not, even for that, let's face it, we love these luxury bags, not just Hermes. I'm talking about Chanel as well. I'm talking about Dior as well. We love these because, not because of the quality, like, don't come out with me with quality, because I do have an Hermes piece that did have a defect in it, except for repair. So don't come out with me with quality. There are quality issues with, I mean, people have complained about quality with Chanel. I haven't endured so much of that, but if you want quality, you can go to an independent leather artisan and get yourself a beautiful handmade bag made in whatever size, color you want, with such precision, for a fraction of the cost. We are paying for marketing at the end of the day. It's the way a brand makes us feel that makes us fall in love with it. If it didn't have, like, just because, like, I love how Hermes is understated. I really do like that. I love how there's no blaring logo, but a lot of people do know what that is, right? Like, because of social media and, yeah, like, but everybody in the community knows what it is, right? Even with Chanel, there's a logo on it, but you'd be surprised, like, a lot of people don't know what this is. Even though there's a logo on it, people don't know what it is. So I think it just depends on the world you live in, right? But the Hermes Birkin and the Kelly are desired because of the way it makes us feel. It's almost like you get validation from it, right? Because you are the chosen one. And it's okay to feel that way, right? It is, but they're marketing it to be special, right? So you should be feeling special if you get something like that. But it's not something, like, I think I'm at an age where, like, it's, and also I have wonderful items. I have a beautiful collection of luxury pieces that make me super happy, and I don't need this to validate who I am. I have nobody to show it to, but it would be nice to have one, I guess as a handbag fanatic, right? Or as a luxury fanatic. I would like to have that as part of, like, my collection, but it's not something that I desperately need, and I'm not really chasing it. I really feel that whatever is meant for you will come to you, and I wouldn't want to chase after something and get frustrated and riled up and stressed, because that's going to really take away the luxury experience of it all. I know and I recognize that there are people who have spent a lot of money and they're given the runaround, and I do not underestimate their frustration, and I highly sympathize with them, and it really sucks. I don't want to go down that slippery slope, right? Like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. No big deal. So the appointment system now, which is different from 2019, what I observed is it makes you choose between the 3 boutiques. Before, it was just the appointment application for FSH, which is the flagship. Now you have to use a drop-down menu to choose either the FSH boutique, Georges V, or Rue de Sèvres, and then, or you have no preference. So there's 4 options you choose from. The first couple of days I was choosing FSH, but then the last couple of days, 2 days, I chose no preference. So I don't know if that helps, but, you know, now what happens is if you want a handbag, or any sizable leather good, I think small ones, like if you want to get a change purse, a card holder, you can still get those. But if you want to look at like leather, substantial leather pieces, you need a leather appointment. So anywhere you go, it's not like it's just for the flagship boutique. At every location, if you want to look or have it be shown a handbag, you need a leather appointment. They're very strict about that, because people have tried to weasel in, and I think they don't want that. So it's like, you have an appointment, that's it. If you don't have an appointment, sorry, we can't help you. So what happened, and I'm going to probably have to charge my camera battery because it's on low battery, but I'm going to try to film what I can. So first day we get there, got there in the morning, you know, napped, rested, went out for the evening, did a little bit of window shopping, did a little bit of shopping, slept. Next day was Wednesday, and if you see in our vlogs, we went to the Seva boutique. We wanted to walk there, but you know, obviously that failed. It wasn't a long walk, it was only a 40-minute walk, but you know, my husband didn't want to walk, so we took a cab after. So we were like literally the first ones there. We were early. There was no lineup, but then like right at 10:30, line started to form behind us. We go in. There's sales associates everywhere. They're all ready. Like I think they just kind of do like their morning like rounds or whatever for a couple of minutes with the manager, and then everybody's ready on the floor. We walk in, we were greeted by a greeter who is not a sales associate. They've got an iPad, and they asked my husband and I what we'd like to look at. I think we were dressed pretty well, aside from the fact that my husband was wearing foam Birkenstocks, but that's because he only packed those and dress shoes. And he's like, I want to buy shoes when I'm here, so why would I wear running shoes? I don't blame the guy. And he's one of those people that really doesn't care what he looks like. He can dress up if he wants to, and for places that count, and he feels like he doesn't need to impress anybody, and I like that about him. But he was pretty, like overall, he was pretty decently dressed, aside from the sandals, because he wanted to get shoes. I was dressed pretty well, I think you can see in the vlog. And we told the greeter, who was very pleasant, we wanted to look at men's shoes. My husband wanted to look for a particular pair. He saw them in Las Vegas, but they didn't have them in his size. So we were told by sales associates, hey, if you go to Paris, they have a much wider selection because they have larger budgets for these stores. So we thought we'd try to find that. And he also wanted to find, like, he wanted like a white dress shirt. And surprisingly, Hermes doesn't do those as much anymore. They've switched to a lot of loungewear, but they do. But you can come across them. But our best bet was to see in Paris. And for myself, I was like, I wanted to look for the Ariane band. We never got them in Toronto, at least not in my size. And plus, they're a little bit cheaper in Paris. So I figured, okay, like if I'm here, I'd like to see that. So she was like, okay, wonderful. And then she sent us over to a sales associate. As soon as we got to see that, like just from the glimpse, like the corner of my eye, I see this woman, and she looked like, I don't want to say the word on YouTube, but I think you know what I'm talking about. But she just did not look like she was having it. Like she just had an attitude issue. Like she had something up her butt. Like, not even like talking to her yet. So she's looking at her phone. Like she just, yeah, doesn't look the most friendly. And, you know, we go over to her, and, you know, some people have a bad day. It's okay. Like, some people wake up on the wrong side of the bed. Maybe she fought with her partner on her way here. Maybe she almost got into an accident on her way here. Maybe she got yelled at by the manager and she was pissed. You know, maybe she got in trouble, right? Or maybe she had to poop, right? Like, maybe she was constipated and she didn't get to go before her day started. I'm trying to make light of the situation. But anyway, so she's like, okay, what can I help you with? And she's not even looking at us. Okay, like, clear, like, the behavior, like, okay. Right away, I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, I don't really like how this is going. I don't want to shop with her. So right away, I was like, I don't want to shop with this woman, but we're here anyway, and it was a bit of a trek to get there. So we're like, okay, we're going to look around. So she asked us, what would you like to look? What are you guys looking for? Not even looking us in the eye. And I was like, oh, we'd like to see men's shoes. I wanted to look at men's ready-to-wear, and if possible, I can look at women's ready-to-wear and jewelry. And then she turns to us. She's like, she's not even looking at me, actually. She keeps looking at my husband. And she's like, so did you want a bag as well? And then we're like taken aback. We're like, what? And then my husband proceeds to say, oh, actually, and then it is my wife's birthday, so, and then she cut him off flat out and was like, I can't get you a bag. because you don't have a leather appointment. You can buy the whole store, but I can't give you a bag. So I was like, okay. It was a little bit much because we're like, okay, we didn't even ask you. But she was probably trying to like smell out, because there are people that go in and try to buy stuff from all these different categories and then be like, hey, like, we don't have an appointment, can we squeeze in, can we get a little something? And she's probably trying to sniff out the BS. So I can see why she was doing that, but it was a little bit rude and uncalled for, to be honest, because we didn't ask for that. We wanted to get shoes and try to see if they had anything, but anyway, so she was kind of just like, you know, trying to smell out the BS and be like, okay, like, you know, you don't want all this stuff, you just want to come here for a bag. And I can see why she suspected that, because there are people that post videos that do that say, oh, I went in and I looked at other things and I picked up, you know, ready to wear, and I picked up fine jewelry and this and that, and then I asked for an appointment and they gave me an appointment even though I didn't have one. So I can see why she was frustrated, but her demeanor and her attitude was uncalled for. When you're in customer service, if you're working retail, you're not above anybody, and customers aren't above you. It's about, you have to be respectful, and if somebody acts like that, I don't care. Like, I don't want to give you my business. It's not an enjoyable experience for me. So we were kind of taken aback. And then she's like, okay, if you need it, you can go look around. If you need anything, I'm right here. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, it's not like we're here to browse. Like, we're specifically here to ask for shoes, and we're trying to find him a dress shirt because he wanted to get a nice dress shirt. You kind of have to show us sizes because they're not all out there. So how are we supposed to help ourselves? So we're like, okay, so we go wander off, and my husband's already like not, he's like, you know what, like, I don't like this woman, and I'm like, I don't like her either, but we're here and I want to take a look at this beautiful boutique. I didn't get to take photos or video because I was already so put off by her attitude that I didn't even want to try, and I didn't want to get yelled at, but we looked around anyway. So there was somebody else that came to help us. He was a younger sales associate. She's there in the corner on her phone, so I don't know what was going on with her. But he's showing us shoes, and he was professional. He was nice. They didn't have what we were looking for. I did kind of look around at the ready-to-wear stuff because I was curious. There were some pieces that I saw here, and I was comparing pricing, and it was a bit cheaper than Canada, regardless of taxes and all that. And they didn't have jewelry. They didn't have the band that I was looking for. So it was kind of like, okay, my husband kind of settled for these shoes because we were there. He's like, I like the, okay, I'll take those. So we're about to cash out. The whole tax refund thing was taking forever because there's a long line. Meanwhile, I get a phone call from our hotel saying that, because they knew it was my birthday from my passport when we checked in the day before, and they wanted to upgrade me, which was very nice of them. And they said, we actually have an upgraded room for you. We didn't have it yesterday, but we would like to give you a suite. And if you can get here before 12, then we can move you guys into that suite, because then we have somebody checking into the one that you have, and they'll be arriving at 12. So it's like 11:30. And it's gonna take us time to get there. They're still not even done cashing out, and I'm telling my husband, I'm like, they're gonna upgrade our room, and my husband's like, okay, you know what, drop everything, like, let's go. So we left everything. We're like, we have to go, we might come back. We didn't even care at this point because I'm like, whatever, right? We just left the cashier, and we took a cab, ran to the hotel. As you saw in the vlog, by the time we got there, the hotel staff already moved our stuff over to the room, and they set everything up, which was really sweet of them. So really, really thankful for that. So anyway, so later on that day, I was like, my husband wanted to take a nap, you know, because the time and all that was, you know, kind of messing with us. And I walked over to FSH. And I was there, I walked in, I didn't need an appointment. I didn't need an appointment, it was very busy, but I went in, somebody greeted me, and I said, I'd like to see if you guys have the Ariane band, because I was looking for that. And that was it, I think. I don't think I asked to look at anything else, because I wanted to look around elsewhere as well. And I thought, hey, I have so much time, I can always come back here. And that never happens. But anyway, so I went upstairs. There was a lovely sales associate helping me. So there's always a different sales associate depending on the department. Like, not, maybe one person can show you everything, but sometimes you have to bounce between different people. So I went up, and she did have it. I'm wearing it right now. It's stacked on top. I wanted a stacking ring. and I really think those look very pretty together. I just wanted something dainty, and I did want a bit of an Hermes piece. Like it's very nice. I don't have a lot of designer jewelry, and very pretty piece, very like subdued, very easy, and I enjoy wearing it. So they had it, and I was served tea, beautiful hospitality, very nice. And while I was there, I made reservations at the Ritz for afternoon tea, and you saw that in the vlog. And I stuck around in that area, and then my husband came and met me there after. I asked the sales associate about the appointments and all that, and I said, how does it work? Like, do you really need it for all the leather stuff? And she said, yes, you do. And she said, I can ask downstairs. Sometimes they have a cancellation, and they can put you in. And I'm like, oh, okay. So she took me downstairs. There was a huge lineup. I didn't bother asking because the line was huge. Like, there was like a person there in charge of all the appointments. I think they were like the appointments coordinator. I think I did try to take like vlog footage. I don't remember. I thought I did, but I don't have it in the videos. But there was display cases there, and they have Birkins and Kellys and exotics on display. They're not for sale, but they're on display. So I thought I filmed that, but I don't know if I did. But anyway, it was swarming. There were actually men that were yelling at the appointments coordinator, like really pissed off. Like, how come I can't get an appointment? Like, really, really angry. And I was just like, minding my own business. I didn't want to stand in line. I'm like, no, it was busy. It was the afternoon. And I saw there was a woman that called out to me in French, and she told me she liked my coat. I was wearing the green coat that I get a lot of compliments on. It's amazing. It's from Slinkachu. So I tell her it's a Canadian brand, and she said, oh, and then she started speaking to me in English, and she's like, I'm from Canada as well. She's from a different province. And she said, did you get an appointment? And I'm like, no, I didn't, but we only just got here, and I'm trying. We'll see if it happens. And she's like, I got an appointment, and she showed me she was wearing a Kelly. The Kelly was, I think, a 28, and in a combination that I didn't really like. I personally didn't like the bag, the color. It was like a very electric blue, but not, I don't even know what color it was, but I didn't like the color, and it was in gold hardware. But she was very happy with it, so I'll let her have it. But in my head, I'm thinking, what if I get an appointment, I get something offered, and I hate it? Like, what would happen? That would stress me out. Like, you know when you're like, please don't be ugly, please don't be ugly. I was like, yeah, that would be really unfortunate, right? So anyway, I left. I went over to go have high tea, and that was it. Now, Thursday rolls around. It was my birthday, which was a bank holiday, so all the Hermes boutiques were closed. You could not register for an appointment for the Thursday. You can register for the Friday. So you could not get an appointment. Actually, no. You couldn't register for the appointment for Friday either, which was really weird because the store was closed on Thursday. Something like that. Like I had a day missing because of that bank holiday. And that Thursday, I guess because it was part of the long weekend, there were a lot of people in town, so it was really busy at all the stores. It's the busiest as I've ever seen. I guess closer to Christmas time, it gets busy. I've always been there in the spring, summer, so I've never endured lines and all that at boutiques. And, you know, COVID might have something to do with it too, because there are capacity restrictions for stores, so they have to have, sometimes they have lineups and all that. But it was a different experience, and I was like, well, it's kind of rushed, and I didn't really like it. But it was kind of rushed, and it was a little bit inconvenient if you wanted to go anywhere. I couldn't just step in like I used to years before. So yeah, so Thursday rolled around, saw that in the vlog, everything was closed. Chanel was open, but they weren't getting shipments, and all the Hermes boutiques were closed. On Friday, in the morning, we went to Georges V, again, to look for shoes for my husband. So he got, it's a smaller boutique, older boutique, and it was only like a 3-minute walk from our hotel. And my husband managed to find a pair of shoes. There wasn't a lot that was there for women, like there really wasn't much. I did see a guy that was standing next to a gray Birkin. He was being offered one, so they do have them, and he maybe had an appointment, I guess. So we were there, and I did register the appointment that morning as soon as 10:30 hit for both myself and my husband. So that was already in the system. We went in and purchased, and then the lady helping us, again, professional. I wouldn't say she was overly friendly, but she was professional. She was polite. I was just sitting there waiting for my husband to try on these shoes. He liked what he got, and she then asked as we were cashing out. It was a very quick trip to that store. We weren't there forever. And again, she pulled up my profile. My husband's like, you know, looking at me, the admin, you know, because I monitor all the, if it's on my credit card, then I can see if we got the refund, okay? And he has way too much to do, and he's not like detail, or I think a lot of husbands, right? Like, they're not gonna, I always have to check, I'm like, did we get the refund? Did we get the refund, right? So I just do it on mine. So she pulled up my profile, and she asked, oh, is there anything else you'd like to see? And my husband was then we were actually here for my wife's birthday. Her birthday was yesterday. You guys were closed. And we've been trying to get her, I really want to get her a bag. And I'm sitting right there. And she's like, yeah, I understand. And she was very polite. She's like, yeah, I really understand. We have a very strict appointment system. Every boutique, you need to register for an appointment. And he's like, I know we've been trying to get an appointment and we haven't been able to. And she said, did you guys register for today though? Like, I mean, did you register for tomorrow? Did you apply today? Because you can apply today for tomorrow. And I was like, yes, we just did that. She's like, okay. And then she looks at her iPad. And she's like, okay, yeah, okay. Like, maybe she saw that I already put a request in, because you put your passport and your name and your date of birth. So I'm pretty sure they can see on the profile if you've put in an appointment request. I don't know if that's true. So she's like, yeah. And then she's like, okay, yeah, make sure you guys apply. You'll get one. You'll get an appointment tomorrow. And my husband's like, okay. And I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, no. She's like, no, you'll trust me. You'll get an appointment tomorrow. Just make sure you guys both apply. Okay, so we left. And then we did our own thing. Like, you know, we were at this trip. Like, we weren't just simply there to shop. We didn't fly all the way to Paris for Hermes Birkin. I mean, I know people may do that, and that there's nothing wrong with that. If you're on a quest, that's fine. We just have good memories in Paris. We wanted to visit again, and it was the food, okay? I wish I had more of the baked goods. But I only have one stomach and I can only eat so much. But I think back to all the stuff that I missed out on eating. But anyway, so later on that evening, I get an email that your appointment has been confirmed for Saturday, our last day there. And it was, I think, at 2:30. So in the afternoon. And I'm like, oh my God. And my husband's like, it's meant to be. See, I told you that. Because after we left Door Sank, my husband's like, you know, that woman, that sales associate, she's going to make it happen. And I felt like she did something. I don't know. And I might be like jumping the gun here, but I feel like she said it with such confidence. And she's looking at my profile. She's like, you'll get an appointment. Don't worry. Trust me, you'll get an appointment. Like, she said it with such confidence, right? And I'm like, okay. Because I was okay with not getting an appointment. Like, I know it's nearly impossible. Like, I was like, whatever, right? Like, we won't get one and we won't get one, but it's worth trying, because I think we would really kick ourselves if we didn't try. So, yeah, so we got the appointment. And so the next morning, we had to go for a COVID test. And got our COVID test. I went to Chanel to pick up an item. And because they had a shipment that came in, and my white classic flap had arrived, so I went to go pick that up. And so I went there first. My husband's like, I'll join you after. I'll meet you at the FSH boutique. I'm like, okay, great. He was really pumped about this. He was super pumped. And I go to Chanel and I do my thing, and I talk to the sales associate. I'm like, I have to go because I have an appointment, and everyone's so excited for me. Like, she's so excited. She's like, oh my gosh, like, those are so hard to get. I know so many people who come in because they see tourists all the time. And she's like, they're very frustrated they didn't get an appointment, so happy for you. Let me know how it goes. So I take a cab. I go to FSH. My husband's already there. He's already there, and I go see him. He's sitting down. He's not wearing his Birkenstocks. He's wearing his new Hermes running shoes. He's dressed really nicely, and so am I. Like, not over the top, but dressed well. So he's like, okay, so I already checked in. The sales associate's coming. So I'm thinking, I'm like, aren't I supposed to be the one that checks in? Because I have to show my passport and everything. It's under my profile. But anyway, Hermes is favorable to husbands, right? Like, they're it is very like patriarchal, right? I see that, because you hear about like if your husband comes with you, your chances of getting a bag or if men go to shop, their chances of getting something is much higher than if a woman goes to shop. I think there's something wrong with that, but whatever. So anyway, I'm like, okay, I should go to the bathroom. Like, I drink a lot of water, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna go pee. And and then I come back downstairs. My husband's not there. And he calls me. He's like, oh, the sales associate came and got me, so come meet me upstairs. It's the 3rd floor. I'm like, what is this, right? He already went and got him. So anyway, I meet him up there. He's sitting there. He's like, okay, he went to go get us something to drink. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I sat down. Sales associate comes back. He's bringing like a tray of like water, and he's asking like, would you like guys like anything else to drink, like any coffee, tea? And I'm like, sure, like I'll have a tea. So they called somebody to bring tea. So before he came back, my husband's like, okay, so I already told him what you want. And I'm like, so he asked you, he didn't even ask me. It's my appointment, right? I'm supposed to be the one who's, you know, vocalizing this. But anyway, whatever. So he comes back with the water and all that access, and then he sends somebody to go get us tea, which is very nice. So I introduced myself, and he was very, very friendly, very polite, professional, and was a very genuine guy. Like you can see, like he was not a snob or anything like that. Very, very nice guy. So he asked me, like, so I introduced myself, and he asked me, okay, like, and he didn't ask me what I wanted. I don't know, he did. Yeah. And I just said, we're visiting for my birthday. As you know, this is my husband. And we're chatting a little bit, and he's like, okay, so your husband already told me what you'd like to get. And then I just reiterated. Basically, it was just like a Birkin 30, preferably 30, in black and with gold hardware. And I preferred gold hardware. I'm open to other hardwares. And then I gave him some other colors close to black. So Blue Ocean, Bleu Nuit, I can't remember what other one, but it was basically, I wanted black. And I also mentioned Barenia as well, because I do really love Barenia as a leather. I think it's stunning. I know it's rare, but I do really like it. So anyway, he's like, okay, no problem, I'm going to be back. So he went, we're sitting there, we're having our tea. He was gone for like a good 20 minutes. There's another event going on, as you saw, I showed you in the vlog. There's like a character that escaped the Hermes, like I think the coloring book that he was showing. That was really neat, so we took some photos with him. Kind of fun. So the sales associate comes back, he's carrying a box. And like when I saw that box, like I saw it out of the corner of my eye, and I'm like, like giddy inside, and my husband's like super pumped, and I'm super pumped. Like we're so excited. He's carrying a big box and another box as well. I don't know what was in the other box, but anyway, so he comes in and he's like, I have some bad news. And I'm like, oh my god. Like when he said bad news, I'm like, what are you talking about, right? Like what's in that box, right? So, you know when somebody like hypes you up and then all of a sudden you come crashing down, it's even worse. So he's like, we're sold out of Birkins, Kelly's, Constance, because those are like the 3 in-demand bags for the day. And he's like, we're not getting another shipment until Tuesday. And he's like, unfortunately, your appointment's scheduled at the end of the week. So we've been sold, you know, had it been earlier in the week, there would have been more stock to sell, but we're out of stock because your appointment is on Saturday and it's kind of like in the middle of the afternoon. So I was like, okay. And then he's like, you know, if you guys are in like by Tuesday, then we're gonna get another shipment. You can try for another appointment then too. And I was like, all right. And then he's like, I have a her bag. And I was like, no. Like, I didn't even want to see it. I was like, that's okay. Like, I'm not interested in a her bag because I can get a her bag here in Toronto, right? I'm not gonna lug that back, you know? So I'm not going to buy it. And then he asked me if I wanted a picotin, but I was like, no, I'm not interested in the picotin. They had other bags in display cases. They had Birkins and Kellys in display case, and my husband innocently, I mean he would. I don't blame him for asking. He's like, can't we just buy that one? And he laughed and he's like, no, actually, the bags, if they have a price tag next to them, you can purchase them. But if they're not, they're usually donated by the MS family for display purposes. So my husband's looking around, looking for a bag that does have a price tag so you can purchase it. But he was unsuccessful. I did see a Ruly in the display case, which is a really nice one. I do like the Ruly design. I like the buckle of it. It's really nice. But again, I wasn't going to spend money on a bag that I wasn't looking for. So that was that. It was very pleasant, and you know, sales associates, not like you can form a contact, I don't think there. They don't give out their cards. It's basically they're assigned based on the appointments. So I think if you're local or you're looking at other things, then maybe you can get their card, but these people that are doing the bag appointments, they're in rotation, so you're not going to see them every time. He did say though, could you please go to Sèvres? because you can get a cancellation appointment, like please try, like and then he was very, very, like he kept asking, like, is there anything else I can help you with, is there anything else I can show you? And I'm like, that's pretty much it, like we only just wanted to come for this, and there's nothing, we're not interested in anything else, right? So he's like, okay, like but he said, please go and try Zephyr. And my husband was really bummed, like he turned into such a sad puppy. The day was also kind of gloomy as well. It started to rain a little bit. It was a bit cloudy, a little bit chilly, and he was just like so down. I was okay. Like I was fine. Like I honestly had low expectations to begin with, and I was just relieved that I wasn't offered something ugly that I didn't want, you know, because the whole thing was playing in my head. Like, what if they bring me a bag that I don't like? I'm gonna have to turn it down. So I was just kind of relieved. But it was a bit of a disappointment, but I wasn't so disappointed. I was like, whatever. But my husband was really disappointed. I was like, okay, let's just go to Sèvres because it'll make you feel better. So we went. We took a cab there. Went in, very short in and out. We went and spoke to the manager and the appointments coordinator, and we explained, we were told if we can come here if there's a cancellation. They said if there was any cancellation, it would have been taken by now because of the timing. So they were like, we don't have any cancellations. So we left and we went to Baumhaus and we went and had lunch, and then my husband's like, I want to go back to the hotel, take a nap, and then we're going to go out for dinner after. I still had to pack and stuff. But that was the story. That was it. There was nothing else. I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, again, I didn't have any high expectations about even getting an appointment. So the fact that I did, like, that was a total fluke in itself. Like, I really was not expecting to get an appointment. But it was a nice experience. But the only thing I'm disappointed about is it was a waste of my time. And waste might be a harsh word, okay? Because it's not a waste, it's still an experience. I still get to talk about it, I still got to take photos in there. You know, I get to share this in a video, right? It's not a waste, but it was an unproductive use of my time. My time is valuable, right? So when my time is wasted or goes unproductive, I mean, it's upsetting. Like, I could have done other things, especially when I was on vacation. Like, I flew all the way there. It was my last day there, and it was smack in the middle of the day, right? So had it been early morning, then maybe it would be okay, whatever, it's over with. We have the rest of the day to do whatever we want. There was a lot I still wanted to do. There's a lot of stuff I wanted to eat. Like, I wanted to, like, eat so many beautiful things. Wanted to take more photos. Maybe we could have spent, like, because when you don't have something kind of in the middle of the day, then you can make a wiser use of your time. It's not just that hour and a half that was taken up by the appointment slot and traveling there and leaving there. It's the time around it too that gets wasted as well, because you're kind of planning things around that. Like, you can't really do other things because you're thinking, oh, I might be late for the appointment. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you don't have like an open time to like do stuff. Like, what if we wanted to drive to Versailles? Like, we could have done that, you know? We could have done many other things. And so it just sucked because it was my last day there. So it kind of, like, you know, on your last day, there's so many things that you still need to do. Like, you need to pack, you need to check in for your flight. Like, it gets a little bit hectic, right? So, you know, I could have done other things. You know, I didn't have to be so rushed. And the day just went by like that, right? And then the next morning we had to leave for the airport. So it was like everything was done. But I think it's really important to share this experience because people still have a very skewed perception of what's happening. And there are a lot of videos online that, you know, if you're searching for this sort of topic, there's a lot of discussion videos too, which is great. But the thing is that it's important to share these experiences, and I think that everything's changing all the time because, again, the demand has grown tremendously over the past couple of years, especially with all these price increases, because the demand on social media has grown. And people are now, like, they're thinking, like, okay, I could just fly to Paris and get this, right? So that's not the case anymore. And then you can also blame production and stuff. Now, it could be that I don't believe that they were completely out of stock. Okay, they do. They have bags there, but they're probably only allowed to sell a certain amount for the day. They obviously have stuff reserved for their VVIP clients, celebrity clients, people that are Instagram famous, that have millions of followers or thousands of followers. They have stuff for them. Like, they have stuff for Jamie Chua. They have stuff for Steph Shojai on Instagram, right? Like, they're going to cater to celebrities. They're going to cater to people. They're going to have dinner with Michael Cost, right? Like those are those clients, right? So they probably have stuff for them, not for people like you and me. And that's okay, right? So they have stuff set aside, but they can't sell what they're like allowed or allotted to sell for the day. So we have to keep that in mind. And I think I'm kind of like, I feel like we make ourselves sick. Like I don't want to fall down that rabbit hole of trying to overanalyze everything. I know people are trying to crack into their system. You can't. I think it really is a happy marriage of various factors like luck, being in the right place at the right time, having a great sales associate who likes you, and like stock and all that, right? So all those things have to come into place in order for you to get something. And you know, even with Chanel too, right? Like a lot of stuff has just been being in the right place at the right time and being lucky, right, to get some highly coveted pieces. And being, you know, I've told you, like sometimes like I've been searching for something and like, oh, I walk into the boutique and they have it, and I'm like, how on earth did you have that, right? So, and nothing like shopping that way, it brings me such joy, right? Like it's such an enjoyable experience to not have to stress and chase after something. So I think if any of you are in the market for this sort of thing, don't take it too seriously. I know the game is very stressful. There are people that have been given the runaround in very competitive markets, and I really sympathize. It really does suck, right? Like I can see why people get very angry because they've been spending a lot of money and all that and still being given the runaround. I hear you. Like I would be pissed off too. I don't want to fall down that rabbit hole. I only want to buy what I like, and if it's meant for you, it'll come to me. That's how I like to play it. I'd much rather honestly buy in my home boutique anyway, because the logistics of it all is just easier. It's not like, I don't think the bags here are cheaper than Paris. I think, who told me this? They calculated and they're like, I think Purse-Bop did an article on this. But anyway, my camera's not cooperating as much because it overheats. I don't know how to resolve that issue. But anyway, the demand for the appointments has also gone up as well because people from neighboring countries can easily apply and get to Paris by jumping on a train, not like us flying across the ocean. So let me know if you guys enjoyed this video. If I left out any details, I'll, you know, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask, and I'll try to answer those in the comment section down below. But again, just sharing my experience. I'm not mad about it. The only thing I'm disappointed with is that it was an unproductive use of my time, and it took up my blessed vacation time in Paris that I could have spent doing other things. So that's it. And my husband's over it now. he was really, really sad about it. He's like, don't remind me of the story, I'm too upset. And I think with men they get like a little bit more with this because they think like, oh, if I go in there and I like, I want a bag, they're gonna give it to me, right? It's like that whole like conquest, right? But he's fine now, and yeah, if it happens, it happens. It's fine. It's not a big deal. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.